All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to the start of our Sunday block of matches for the Osu Mania 7 Key World Cup 2025. We're in the quarterfinals round. We've got a bunch of matches to get through still for this weekend, all coming in on our Sunday block. Starting off with Venezuela versus Macau, number 12 versus number 18, a losers bracket match here. Gonna be an exciting one. I am one of your commentators, Toph Daddy, joined here by Sparky. How's it going?
It's going absolutely fantastic. Excited to kick off what is hopefully going to be a very electrifying Sunday for this quarterfinals. And what better way to start it off than with a losers bracket matchup? Both these teams fighting for their tournament lives. They're going to try to make it to later on today to try and make it to the semifinals. One of these two teams will have to play another match to see it through, and I believe the opponent's already been decided from earlier today. We'll kind of fill that in as we go along, but
we'll figure it out. Looks like bans and protects had already come in. We got here a little bit. Getting things started pretty quick. But we saw Protect from Venezuela on Hybrid 3s, the tiebreaker actually, or the tiebreaker-esque hybrid getting protected there. And then LN4, the coordination long note pick getting protected instead of the inverse pick. And then not even the inverse pick getting banned as a result. We saw Venezuela take out LN2, the density long note pick, which is interesting. And Macau going ahead and banning out the density core jack. So two density picks on the opposite sides of the spectrum getting banned out by each team respectively. And I think that ultimately makes sense given what I expect. The kind of wild card in this is the Hybrid 3 Protect from Venezuela. I know they performed really well on the hybrids last weekend in their winners bracket match, but even then, I would have almost expected them to want to keep one of their rice picks open against a team like Macau, who have already made it clear that they don't want to stick around that rice pool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting overall. Maybe just feeling a little bit of comfort with that hybrid pick, especially if, as you mentioned, they've been trending in or around them, finding some success there, maybe wanting to push their luck, just ensuring that it stays there, because it could very infrequently catch a ban here or there, and maybe just wanting to really make sure it sticks around, knowing full well that maybe the rice would get, one of the rice picks would get banned out. They could just pick and choose whatever was left from there. So, I mean, these teams think about these things differently sometimes, as looks like LN1 is going to be the pick here. We got ADOG145 and Sir Ale, and for Venezuela, and ItGoose123 and randoms for Macau here. And man, these guys are speed running the start of this match here.
Yeah, it is going by quick enough. That makes, I mean, if I was in their position, I would also want to be getting into this as fast as I can. An early miss there from ADOG coming out of that inverse section. This is Macau's first pick, so you'd almost expect Venezuela to be a little less comfortable on it, but we do see that mistrade back from IdQ's ADOG finding another one, but the accuracy right now looks to be favoring Venezuela, despite the extra miss coming from ADOG compared to IdQ's. Two full combos, though, still remaining as they hit the 400 combo, and they maintain that, but Random's last one standing as Sir Ale finds a drop, but a miss there is going to start extending that lead super heavily in Venezuela's favor, with IdQ's not really able to recover, and that accuracy just very, very strong for Venezuela. 98.6 from Venezuela.
Yeah, Sir Ale being able to hold themselves about a full % ahead of either competitor from Macau for the moment. But that being said, everything else is relatively in lockstep. 16,000 points, that's basically just the buffer of Sir Ale compared to everybody else. Random's finding another slider break as we transition into the back half of the chart, and another three-way drop across the lobby. Only Sir Ale holding on to any semblance of combo. The only one above that 400 combo cap gonna be able to stretch this advantage for the Venezuelans going into this next time when they finally find a drop at the end of the section. Gonna reset them back down to 0 here and give Macau a bit of an opportunity to maybe make some chips into this lead, but Random's finding another drop gonna help keep this lead in check for Venezuela. Still 25,000 points to the good going into the last quarter here.
And we do see A-Dog and EQs there finding the traded misses for Alien Randoms. Now everyone finding breaks as we see the streams increase speed with the inverse, but that's going to help Venezuela more. Their accuracy's higher. Those misses aren't going to be as impactful to score quite as much, and it's kind of just sticking around that 28,000 zone as we start coming to the ending. EQ's finding a bit of consistency, and that lead does start to shrink. Randoms, though, going to miss as well. Traded again by Sir Ale there, but this lower section gets Idkus, catches them off guard. 25,000 points of lead, might just be able to hold on until the end, and that absolutely insane accuracy from Sir Ale. Not too far ahead of Idkus, but was able to hold it for long enough to give Venezuela an early breakpoint here.
Yeah, one way to start things off, we were going 100 miles an hour, and all of it basically led to what was a very chaotic first map. But Venezuela, despite all the chaos, managing to hold on to the lead for basically the entirety of that runtime and just extended it from the get-go. So, as you said, early breakpoint for Venezuela, and if the bans and everything was something to go off of, we're probably going to see a 180 into the rice pool if trends are to be followed. That being said, Hybrid still in the cards, Protect still there, so who knows?
Yeah, still there. And if you're looking in chat, it looks like IQ's actually said that they had a pretty bad run compared to their normal. So we could be seeing nerves having an impact on how these players are playing. Makes sense. I mean, you're on a massive stage, World Cup, on the brink of elimination. Nerves are going to be a factor you have to deal with, but an early pick going into the attack for Venezuela, not sticking with the straightforward race, going immediately into the risky stuff, and I don't know if I necessarily like that idea from Venezuela, but if they're going to stick with the rice pool, I think they're under the impression that this is going to come out at some point.
Yeah, for sure. It's better to kind of rip the Band-Aid off early, and it's one of those where this has been catching a couple of bans here and there throughout this weekend just to start off, and I imagine we're probably going to see why once we dive on into it. But as we wait for the players to get settled in, it looks like Venezuela going to have a substitution. Shai's stepping in to back up Sir Ale on their side, and I mean, we've said it before with these two-man rosters. I mean, gonna have to deal with everything.
I mean, Venezuela's not in that much better of a position. They got a three-man roster, so they basically just have one person to come swap in, and we do see them able to do that with Shizdi there, taking A-Dog's spot, but still means they're gonna still be a little bit on the heavily worked side, though 2 maps in, not gonna be too big of a deal, and especially the buffer that is given to A-Dog going to give them some time to maybe get the nerves back under control. Venezuela did take that point, so shouldn't be as bad there, but still not going to give them a little bit of an opportunity to take an advantage out of just straightforwardness of being able to swap out. But here we go. Randoms, early drop there. And as these bursts are coming, another drop there. 3 full combos otherwise. Still building up to 400 combo, though. And Idkus finds an early break alongside Randoms. And these very difficult technical patterns not treating Macau very well, while Venezuela holding on to 2 99% full combos.
Yeah, definitely a tale of 2 different levels of comfort on this pick so far through the introduction. The long jack catching out Randoms as we transition on into this next section. These Grace Note, so aggressive throughout the entirety of this chart. Idku's going to be the next one to find a drop. Shizdi finally finds one on the side of Venezuela. That's one of the FC's gone, but I mean, they've built up such a massive cushion to work off of. This platform, 80,000 points to the good off of the first half alone, to give them plenty of steam to continue on the way they have, especially with Sir Ale on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, kind of just holding it down here. Only player above that 99% and only player with the FC left in the lobby.
Yeah, last FC available in the lobby, but really the story right now is the accuracy and consistency in general coming out of Venezuela here. 98.79 being the lower of the two accuracies from Chisdi there, well ahead of both Intus and Randoms here. And this is not a great sign for Macau looking into the future of this match. You've got to start thinking about this, and like we've talked a lot about like two-man rosters, but because Macau is only a two-man roster, they don't even have someone to swap out who might be able to, alleviate some of this issue that they might have with rice maps in general coming out. So if they're accurate, that just makes it even taller of a task to try and put something against Venezuela, especially now that they're a breakpoint behind.
Absolutely. And as this map comes to an end, a convincing way to double up off of that first breakpoint being given over Venezuela, making it 2-0 in very convincing fashion. Sir Ele MVP in the lobby, that 971k score, very clean in the grand scheme of things. Shizdi not too far behind to lend the supporting score, and I mean, hopefully they can kind of use these first couple of maps to get their head in the game a little bit here, but we know that Macau has the capability of swinging some good team performances. It's just finding that clean, consistent run as we continue on here.
Yeah, and finding that clean consistency is maybe going to be difficult with Venezuela having a lot of rice picks to go through. But Macau is on the board, or is up to bat here, needs to make his choice, and LN3 is going to be it, saving their protected pick for the last of the long note pool. So Ataraxia coming out the wild card, going to get closer to that LN density, and maybe I'm interested to see how this kind of goes, because they did ban out long note 2, and we may have seen why they banned out LN2 versus the other 3 long note pick. Or, sorry, they didn't ban anything in the long note pool. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. But
it happened so fast that we usually get like 1 to 2 minutes to kind of discuss that, trying to condense that into like 1 to 2 milliseconds.
It just keeps going so fast. They're already into the map. We can't talk about it.
Yeah, we can't even riff on anything right now. We have to do it during the map, and as well, I mean, Banjo saving us here, getting some time.
We get a little bit.
We can catch your breath.
We're into the map. Okay. Anyways, what I was gonna say is I'm interested to see how this goes. It's gonna be a little bit closer to the rice side of things. Gonna have a little bit of physicality, which we've already seen Macau struggle a bit with, despite this being mostly a long note pick, or well, mostly it is a long note pick. Just has a little bit of that extra difficulty with rice. We saw early misses there from A-Dog and Randoms, Ibkus, and Sir Ele holding under the combos, but again, it's an accuracy game right now that Venezuela is winning alongside another miss from Randoms there, and that's a trade and miss from Sir Ele and Ibkus, all full combos off the board. Randoms and A-Dog up above the 400 combo now, trying to keep that lead from changing, but the accuracy is giving Venezuela now a 20,000 point lead.
Yeah, full combo reset coming out from Macau, going into the second third of the chart. Another one to boot, going to make matters worse for them, as Venezuela gonna take these misses and run with it to the tune of 35,000 points going into the back half. Sir Ele finding a slider break on the calmer section where things starting to dive right back up to where they were in terms of overall density. But as it stands, I mean, they have earned this cushion to be able to afford some of these slider breaks, as A-Dog finds a chain of misses traded out by Randoms in spades, gonna keep this lead still intact. But that being said, I mean, one too many that don't start getting traded back, and you can start running into the issues. But the only people finding misses right now are on the side of Macau, 37,000 points, and climbing for the Venezuelans going into the last quarter of the chart.
Yeah, that's a huge lead there. Randoms struggling to find any footing there. Finds another miss. A-Dog did find a break as well. Inkyu's doing their best to try and get this back, but Sir Ele doing a great job of nullifying the combo from Inkyu's. They're both approaching 2,000 combo now, and that lead sticking around that 50,000 point range as we approach the final few patterns. And Randoms finds another miss right at the end, and Venezuela with an early 1-2 punch of break points.
Yeah, just a complete sweep so far in terms of stylistic choices on the LNs for
Ooh.
Venezuela. And oh boy, well, I mean, if there was ever a time to uncork it.
They protected it for a reason. I don't know
Yeah.
if I still don't know if I agree with protecting this over one of the Rice picks, but they have to feel very comfortable on this. And I am not good at 7 key, but I've tried playing through these pools. This is ridiculous. That's kind of I've seen a trend through these map pools that these tiebreaker-esque hybrids have been kind of the hardest maps in the pool in one way or another, because they don't let up on anything. They don't really make any of the sections easier than their respective sections. Like the density long note aspects of this with some of the sweepy LNs and all of that stuff is not necessarily easier than any of the long note picks, and some of those technical patterns in this are not necessarily easier than the Rice pool, and having to do this for 4 minutes is brutal.
For sure. I mean, to be fair, I feel like that's kind of a like signature from the pooling team. They've always enjoyed these like boss map-esque type picks, and Hybrid 3 has kind of developed into that sort of moniker over the last couple of years, where it's just like that half step and sometimes even full step depending on how cool they are feeling. And as we get this map started, it was actually a pretty interesting trend. Both Venezuela's A-Dog and Sir Ale finding the drops very early on. Macau finally trade them back. Itkus and Randoms finding their own misses after that 400 combo cap got reached. So they did have some free time to kind of develop a tiny bit of a score lead. And because of that, this lead isn't actually stretching that far in favor of the Venezuelans, as there's a full combo reset on their side, transitioning into this full LN section. And hold on.
This lead looks like it's going back. Combo advantage in the side of Macau for now. Everyone just about it. Oh no, but Incus finds a break, and that's going to give Venezuela a tiny lead through this LN section. There's Randoms, Sir Ale, and A-Dog all hold on to max combo bonus. Randoms finds a break, and through that LN coordination section, Venezuela going to find themselves with an 8,000 point lead, with A-Dog the only player holding onto the combo through that, but finds a break, full combo break, transitioning into it, and that 8,000 point lead is what we're going to be starting off with going into the second third of this chart.
And that was a precursor of what is to come. I think we're going to be in for quite a bit of a ride. Random's having a bit of a torrid time getting through this section. A-Dog finally trading back one of the misses, but as it stands, both Macau players finding drops through this anchored LN with all the Rice interspersed throughout its section. Gonna help Venezuela establish this lead that they have grown accustomed to throughout this match. 30,000 points already, and we're not even halfway done with the map yet.
Indeed, and this is really long, so that 36,000 points is going to be a lot harder to overcome than it would be on a shorter map with fewer notes. And we're continuing to see pretty consistent breaks from the Macau side, kind of from everyone, but A-Dog able to establish some combo and get above 400, giving that full combo bonus into this break section and expanding that lead to about 42,000 points, as now the entire lobby above 400 combo going into the second half. Macau going to need to lock in here. Another transition. Random finds a break. Incus finds a break as well. And both Venezuelan players are holding onto the combo as another transition happens.
Yeah, it just feels like throughout these sections, it's either in the middle or right at the very end of each individual phrase throughout this chart where we see the drops coming through. And I mean, to be fair, A-Dog hasn't been immune to them as well. We've seen Sir Ale kind of recover a little bit, finally falling off of their perch after a pretty decent amount of time in comparison to everybody else in this lobby. A quarter of the map still left to go here. Only players still above that 99% mark, kind of holding the benchmark for everybody else in this lobby for the moment. And it has been paying dividends for Venezuela in ensuring that even if they do have rough sections here and there, they have enough in the tank to be able to make it through relatively unscathed. Sure, they can bleed over 5,000-10,000 points at times, but when you have an 80,000 point lead, doesn't really matter at the end of the day as we make our way into the last section of the chart.
Yeah, that LN density starts to pick up. Randoms finding some footing, but mashed by Sir Ale, who drops right there. So a little bit able to come back, but Randoms does find a drop pretty soon after getting to 400. and the map starts to transition into some slower, less dense patterns as we get to the final few bits left of this map. A 90,000 point lead. Not too much could happen here to give that lead away. And Venezuela will establish a 4-0 lead off their protective Hybrid 3.
I will say, looked a little dicey at the beginning. If you
certainly did.
If you just clip like the first 30 seconds of this chart, it was like, okay, maybe there's a chance. Maybe Venezuela like flew a little too close to the sun, felt themselves a little bit too much, but no, they had it locked in at the end. They took the punches and rolled with them, and it was all smooth sailing once they got out of that intro. As Macau wastes zero time, as both teams have this entire match going straight into LN4.
Yeah, I mean, Macau's Protect coming out now. They lost both the other two long note picks, but that has been their best opportunity so far, and this one does not have any of the physicality that the other two maps did. So it's definitely makes sense why they protected this, and it's going to be basically their last opportunity to kind of swing any momentum. If they lose this, it's match point for Venezuela on Venezuela's pick. That's not a good situation to be in. So last opportunity to kind of start turning this around on their own accord, unless they want to try and face Venezuela on potentially another Rice pick, which we still got 3 Rice maps open. Wait, not even 3. We have 4.
Yeah. It's very much a rock and a hard place type of situation. You're running out of hybrid picks. This is your last LN pick, and you gotta get some of these breakpoints back. And I mean, Venezuela protected hybrid 3. They don't really need to go into the other hybrids unless they really felt like it. So the likelihood of being able to play something a bit more in your comfort zone, not very high. But those are conversations for if Macau can secure this point, and this is the most critical point for them. A-Dog finding a slider break very early on, gonna be very good for Macau's start here, but as Randoms trades it back, then we get into the conversation about accuracy once again. Overall average accuracy for Venezuela so far this match has been so much higher than those of their Macauan counterparts. And as we get this underway, Randoms finding the slider breaks not traded back this time around, going to give Venezuela once again that perch to stand on where they can tank their way through some of these harder sections.
Yeah, and 20,000 points of lead already, a quarter of the way through the map. We saw the early break from A-Dog and another one right there. But Randoms has been finding a few more consistent drops, struggling to get to the 400 combo mark and stay there, but now getting there. So it's going to help Macau try and bring this back, though. 27,000 points, still quite a hefty lead, and A-Dog already back to the 400 combo mark. And that accuracy, like you mentioned, definitely still favoring Venezuela. So unless we start seeing more misses, which we see a trade one between A-Dog and Randoms, but that's going to benefit Venezuela more than Macau in this situation as Random continues to find more drops. It's those 2 full combos from Venezuela and Macau trying to do what they can. Who's putting up a performance, but the accuracy from Sir Hele fully nullifying that score from Idkuz.
And now as we continue on into the back half of the chart fully now, I mean, this song in comparison to everything that we've had so far is so much calmer. It's just, it's so deceptive in how torturous it is as Randoms finding the first couple of drops throughout this section, not traded back by either the Venezuelan, Sir Ele and A-Dog, still basically locking in at this point, just kind of settled into the groove of what's being asked, these longer anchors being managed as Sir Ele finally finds a break going into the last third. But I mean, the damage has already been done here, 62,000 points. It feels like they could do just about anything at this point with regards to overall performance, and they'd probably still be fine.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned Sir Ele finally finding that drop, and as that drop happened, A-Dog taking up the mantle, getting to that over 1,000 combo while Sir Ele builds it back up, and now they are back, and the only player with combo yet again, only player above 99% in the lobby as well. Sir Ele putting Venezuela on their back and taking what looks like a third break point to bring them to match point, 1 point away from moving on in the losers bracket and staying alive for another match in this tournament.
For sure, it's just a matter of how clean can they keep it? Can they keep themselves above that 99% mark? Everybody else watching in awe. Randoms and a couple of misses for the road, but as we mentioned, it was a pretty foregone conclusion from about halfway through this chart. A-Dog finding a miss as well, finally trading one of them back, but it feels like for every one Venezuela misses, Macau finds a couple extra in turn, and Venezuela, as you mentioned, match point 5-0 to start this match off with their pick, an opportunity to put a nice little bow on proceedings if they want to take the path of least resistance here.
Yeah, and they've got 4 rice picks to go with if they want to go back to that. They did very well on rice 4. They've got that mixed rice pick and evolutionary anima. Could be a point of interest there, but no, they're going to stick in the hybrid zone. Go with hybrid 2 here. A interesting pick, but I mean, hybrid 3 went very well for them, so I'm not necessarily surprised they're sticking around here.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those where they might have sensed it's like, okay, I feel like we have a clear advantage in terms of accuracy and performance so far. It's like, let's just go with things that we like. Some of these songs, like all the songs in this pool, are really good, but I mean, players have preference, and preference sometimes leads to better performance, at least from what I've observed.
Sometimes, hey, I mean, I've definitely felt that when I would play in tournaments. I would actually have moments in tournaments where my first pick in a match would not be the one I thought I could win the best or like had the best chances. It would be the song I liked the most. Just to get the nerves out of my system and just have fun with it. So it makes sense to kind of want to do something like that.
Absolutely, and I guess if you want to look into it a little bit deeper, maybe too deep, overall, maybe Venezuela, knowing that they could easily, or in their opinion, easily win these rice picks, why play them if you know you have another match? Why give over intel to your prospective opponents
That is
to
true.
scout you out? So that's more of like the metagame aspect. I always like to throw that out there, that it's like, okay, maybe they think about it, but no, I'm pretty sure it's just because the song's a banger.
Yeah, you could have that aspect, like the metagaming side of it. You could also think, hey, if Venezuela knows that they're good at rice, their opponents might know that as well, so it might be a little weird to kind of give out the info, hey, we're very strong on the hybrids as well, but knowing how these tournaments work, you don't kind of get that opportunity. But anyways, into the map, everyone holding the full combos for a while, randoms finding the first drop, still holding above the 99% though. Best accuracy I think we've seen across the board for any map so far, and just the one miss as randoms gets back up to 400, and that's traded by A-Dog. So just about a 7,000 point lead that's going to shrink a little bit as A-Dog does start building up again, but randoms going to trade that back once again and drop below the 99%. Now a 15,000 point lead with Intus finding a break on the side of Macau as well. One full combo left on the side of Sir Ale, who has just been performing, having the performance of a lifetime, and I say that as they miss, but still, what an incredible performance by Sir Ale so far, and 2/3 of the way helping keep Venezuela with a 25,000 point lead as the more complex patterns come out and Macau starts to fall apart. That lead skyrocketing to 45,000 points now.
Yeah, it looked really good through the opening sections. Sure, bleeding a little bit in terms of accuracy, but that was able to be overcome, and they managed to find some slider breaks or misses from the side of Venezuela. Those never came, and when it really came push down to shove, things started getting a little bit more complicated. We started to see the cracks begin to form, with an eighth of the charge still left to go here, and a 60,000 point lead to their name. It looks like Venezuela is going to be able to put away Macau's best efforts here to try and advance in this tournament, going to knock them out in the quarterfinals as the last couple of notes begin to rain down here. It will be a clean sweep from the Venezuelans, 6-0, to make their way into the second half of quarterfinals weekend, living to fight another day.
Indeed, they do. And a good performance from Macau, especially to make it this far, winning that match in round of 16 to make it through to the quarterfinal stage. What an impressive performance, but unfortunately, we will be saying goodbye to them for this tournament while our number 12 seed Venezuela, like you said, moves on to face another team in the quarterfinals trying to fight for that semi-finals spot. They're going to have a tough task ahead of them, though.
Absolutely. But, I mean, if they want to make it, they got to be able to prove it. And what better way to do it than by winning that first match, set themselves up. It looks like they'll be playing, the winner of an upcoming match. It's going to be Venezuela will face off against the winner of either Germany or the Netherlands, which will be coming up 8 hours from now. So going to need to wait in reserve to see who they will be playing. But in the immediate 30 minutes from now, we've got a winner's bracket match. It is going to be China taking on the USA.
Indeed we do. Going to be an interesting one. China, our number 2 seed, versus the United States, our number 7 seed. I am really excited to see what happens with that match, especially given we don't need to say goodbye to either one of those two teams, so they're going to be fighting for that top 6 spot, looking for a guaranteed top 6 with the winners semifinals bracket, losers still staying in the tournament, but going to be an exciting time. But just before we kind of close out, wait while we get that 30-minute break before the China-United States match, I think I would love to hear about some way that we can support the tournament. Sparky, do you have something that might help me out here?
Oh, absolutely. If you need something to do in these next 30 minutes while you wait for this next match to come up on stream, you can head on over to the O store and pick up a banner to support any of the teams that are playing in this year's edition of the Mania 7 Key World Cup, even if they have already been eliminated for the low price of $2.50. And you know what else, Toph? I can sweeten that deal just a little bit more. Do you want to hear about it?
I absolutely want to hear about it. Anything to make the deal sweeter.
Fantastic. Did you know that if you manage to pick the winner of this year's World Cup in your banner, that banner will stay around even longer on your profile?
That is incredible news. I am going to head to the OC store right now and buy 32 banners for all 32 teams to guarantee that I get to keep that banner for the rest of the year. I just gotta do it. And as you might be able to tell from what I just said, you can still buy banners even for teams who were eliminated from the bracket stage. So you can still buy all 32 teams if you so desire it. So go support the tournament with a banner. But outside of that, do you have anything else left to say before we close out for the next 27 minutes?
No, I hope you all have a wonderful break. We'll be back in that aforementioned 27 minutes. But until then, we'll catch you guys later.